helps us just understand, well, your brand, your personality, your voice, your users, and then go from there. So I'm going
And
to
have we
switch over to that,
established
and then
what we're doing this for my business or for coaching?
so I thought you said the other day you were going to do it for the business.
I did. I'm just making sure that we have that recorded.
Oh, very good. Yes. So, all right. Note taken. All right. So where are you showing this, Curtis, now that we're...
Currently, we're not showing it anywhere. We're just recording it, and then afterwards we can decide if we're going to share it. But I would put it up on my site,
Okay.
and you could also use it.
Okay, very good. All right. Well, so what we're going to do, we're going to start with defining what we call your brand attributes. And these will help us as we later begin looking at your users and your users' goals and needs to decide how your brand speaks and presents itself, because it's different for every brand. You can have the same exact business as someone else, and your culture and users and personality be very different from them. So this is what we're going to start with, and what we do is I want to hear from you adjectives that describe your business. Adjectives. So not now, but I want you to say I do membership and e-commerce. I want you to use adjectives in each one of these areas, and we're just going to go through them. The very first one is just in general. What are some adjectives that describe SFN design in general?
Okay, give me an example of an adjective first, because I failed grammar terribly.
So it might be forward thinking. It might be direct. It might be
so we're honest and direct is a good
expert. Honest and direct. So and we don't have to have a ton of these. Maybe like 10 for each area.
Okay.
Not a ton. That is a ton.
Honest and direct. Expert. Engaged. Oh.
That's good. Those are both good.
Of course they are. I'm good. Good. All right. It's planners, planning. I don't know. That one. Focused.
These are all good.
Excellent.
I should also say these can be they can be aspirational as well as where you are now. So if you think of something that you start to say it and you're like, no, I'm not quite that yet, we can go ahead and put that down too.
Say thought leader or leaders.
All right, I think that's good. That's a good to start with. So next, what we're looking at is your company culture. So I know that there's not like 50 people involved in the company yet, but when you are interacting internally, what does that culture look like when you're interacting with other developers that you might work with, or designers, or even your VA, or that sort of thing? What does that culture look like when you're interacting internally?
Teachable. Be honest.
I feel like there's a trend here.
There is. I didn't even really notice that there's honest on the other one. I always like to, as I put it, bless people. So even my VA, who barely works for me really, has said that like I'm way better than her boss at her full-time job. So just because I've been able to bless her or help her.
How do you do that? Tell me a little bit about it.
How do I do that? I do that. So when she moved and she was wondering if she'd be able to continue with me, I like helped her financially in many ways that I could, and I've helped her a number of times. Just as she has helped the business make money because I don't have to do stuff, I have also passed as much of that onto her as is reasonable. And even through mistakes, right? When she's made a mistake, I just kind of say, whatever. I'll document the process, and then from now on, the process is documented. So it is your fault the second time, right? But not the first time. The first time it wasn't documented. You just made a mistake, whatever.
Right.
Our company culture, we don't worry. We look for ways to improve, right, which would be teachable. So we find a problem and fix it is one of the things that I like.
And then now what's interesting is that we've done this before and had it take like 2 hours, not 2 hours, maybe an hour. Because when there are a lot of people involved, it can take a lot longer. But again, it doesn't have to take a long time. So your users, now this is your overall community. It doesn't necessarily have to be just your customers, but we are thinking primarily of the customers that you serve. I want to know adjectives that describe the customers that you serve.
Driven.
A good one.
I'd say teachable again. So I don't want clients that come to me with all the answers that want an implementer, because that's not what we are not. We are not just implementers of their, not just implementers, we are partners. That might even go back to general, right? We are partners.
So they're teachable and driven.
They want to be leaders as well. They want to affect change. So thinking, like as I've talked with you personally, Angie, about like 10x clients that I want that do a 10 times reach. So they want to affect change in people, right? It's not necessarily just selling coffee cups to people. It's selling or training, teaching, that type of thing. So they're not only are they teachable, they are teachers.
Well, that's a good one.
They're honest. That's another one.
Wow.
Yeah, they're honest too. If they have a problem with me,
with themselves and with you.
Yeah, absolutely. If they have a problem with the business, they need to come up right straight up and say it. We can't fix a problem you don't let us know happens. So, good communicators.
These are all really good. What are some of the adjectives that describe why they're coming to you? Their pain points in the first place, like
their pain points. And we've talked about it, some of them already, right? It's because they are teachable. They know that they don't know a bunch of stuff, so they are coming to an expert in that field to help them with it. Because they know they don't know it, and a good team consists of getting the best people for the job, not just being the boss or being in charge. They want to affect more change. They want to reach further.
All right.
Yeah.
And then your personality. So you could have a company that has those same adjectives as their general and culture and users, but the voice that they speak with is very different than yours. So talk to me a little bit about your brand voice when you're writing or when you're doing videos or even in things like the proposals that you send out. That all has a certain voice. So what is that? What are some of the adjectives that describe the voice that your brand speaks with or represents itself with?
Funny. My contract talks about robots and maple syrup.
Right.
I do that because I spend more time with my clients than I do with my wife. I picked my wife because I love her, to spend years with her, and I spend more time with other people, really, because we spend all that time sleeping, right? So I want to work with people that are like that. And so that's part of the reason that I employ funny or humor in my process. Also, my brand talks with authority as well, with honesty. It doesn't pull its punches. Right. I think one of the most powerful things that we can do for clients is tell them the word no. No, that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
It's my little superhero word. I'm starting to call it no. Yeah, we're direct. I think we also care, though. Like, we're not direct mean. I don't think that's an appropriate response, but Direct and
Yeah.
honest. Direct, mean, or disrespectful is not acceptable.
Yeah, that's important because you see, like I can think of some brands that I've seen online that they're direct, but they do it in a sarcastic and mean way.
Yeah.
And again, that's very different than being direct in a caring way.
Yeah, and if we are like disrespectful, if we're called on it, I've always believed that like if I was disrespectful in a group, then I need to apologize to the whole group because they all got to see me do it, and they should all see that that's something I recognize I should not have done. So my brand will, humble, own up to our mistakes. That's what else the brand will do. Mistakes are opportunities for finding that problem and fixing it. That's what they're opportunities, which has always sounded lame to me when I worked in an organization that always wanted to call them opportunities, but so I don't want to call it that.
Now you're like, they totally are.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to call it that. It sounds kind of silly, but
So then what is the, when a customer or someone, again, it's not necessarily a customer, this is more your community, but obviously we are speaking about your customer. How do they feel after they've interacted with you?
They should feel like their mind is blown. Because the level of care and the interactions they received, they walk away and say, like, how do I possibly serve my customers like that? Because I've never been served like that before. I have never engaged with a firm or with anyone that has cared about my business before to that extent. And that is how I want to be cared for and how I should be caring for people.
Yeah.
And there are many aspects of that feeling, right? So like going the extra mile, being willing to say no. Sometimes it might be in large organizations, backing up the person slightly lower down the chain to the person up the chain, because being the outside expert.
So what is that? That specific thing that you just said just now, the person who feels backed up, whether it's backed up like they knew what they were talking about and they had it right in the first place, or they didn't know and they found the right solution, which is you, and they brought that back to their higher up. What is that feeling? What's that value that person feels now?
Cared for, right? Believed. And that they're valuable. Knowledgeable.
That's about right. I could say that way. Okay. They feel, I think, and I can add things in too. I think that they probably feel respected by that. Or respected in your overall process, I think.
Yeah. I think knowing like that they know that when they're backed up, it's because I believe it. And if I don't, it's because I believe it's wrong. That's it. We're not making a value judgment on them as a person. They are still always valuable as a person, but we're looking at what's the best for the clients and for the business.
Do they, so when your customers come to you, or when your community comes to you, how are they feeling when they get to you in the first place?
Probably lost sometimes. Like they don't even know what the next step is. Right? They don't, as I often say, which sounds technical, they don't have a framework with which to even evaluate the next decisions that they have. So it's just like, I have no idea. Literally, I have no idea what the next thing to push our business forward is.
Yeah, so they find direction after.
Yeah, and they come engage with me and have that direction. Have someone that they know cares about them, and that is looking at their best interest first, even if that means I tell them to find someone else because someone else is better for a portion of a project, and I do not make money on that.
All right. And then what is the tangible benefit that they get from working with you? Some really obvious examples or a really broad one are to say they save time, money, or they increase the quality of whatever their offering is. But let's try to be as as specific as possible about the benefits that they get from working with you.
I think they feel empowered. I work on lots of client sites where they basically, like, their previous developer just did everything for them, and I don't do everything for you. So I will teach you how to do stuff, provide training, and then you can, run with your site after that. Trained, yeah. Empowered. In control would be another one. Like they feel like they have control
of their processes.
Yep. They have control over their processes. The benefits. Their sites don't crash. They have good processes then, right? They have processes built up for their deployment, for code review, for all those things. Higher conversions.
I think there we go.
More time, because again, we've built processes in there.
And what sort, just so I'm more clear about this going forward, when you talk about those processes, so you mentioned deployment and code review, what are some other ones that you help implement? Or will help implement in the future?
Will help implement. Those are the two big ones I've done mainly, right? Other ones. And giving them a giving them a framework with to evaluate future things on their site, right? I always I'm very strict on this is all future stuff. We'll just put that in the future pile. We'll deal with that in the future at some point. Not try and scatter ourselves to 9,000 things. And I get very hardcore on that, on saying this is what we're doing now. We're accomplishing this task. That is it. Does it accomplish the task or not? If it doesn't push us towards that, then we do not do it. It might be great, but we are not doing it.
That's good. That's a good one. All right. Well, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go back through each one of these sections and pick out one, the term in each section that you feel like speaks the most to that section, maybe two, but we're going to try to stick to one. But we can, like I said, we can use two, but one is better. So when you look at your general adjectives, what sticks out the most to you?
Probably honest or focused.
And why those two?
I think focused and honesty go together, actually, right? We were focused on that end goal, which, like we just talked about, and we're going to be honest. If you're trying to get us to do something that's interesting but not focused on our end goal, then we will say no, even if that means turning down dollars.
All right, and then what about the next column? What are we looking at for your culture? This is how you communicate internally. And we may wordsmith some of these things a little bit later to make them, a little easier to grab onto. But
I'd have to go with learners and not worrying, right? Way too many companies, like a mistake is this big terrible thing, and failure shouldn't happen, and all this other stuff, and forget it. No, failure does happen. The goal is to find a problem and fix it, right? Not nail someone to the wall over something that, like some mistake, and then retract any responsibility they had. Forget that. You find a problem and fix it, right? Where did our process break down?
I think that too, that probably translates to your clients too, and saying to them, okay, let's just be honest about where you are so that we can work together to figure out that same sort of thing. Where's the problem? How do we fix it? And let's, put a system in place to move on. But we're not going to freak out about it. We're going to be honest and focus and fix it, and so that you can get on with your business. So I think that's interesting that.
Well, that even goes for when we make mistakes with clients, right? When we say something that is inaccurate and the client says, hey, that's not even right. And we just say, you're totally correct. That isn't right. And I look stupid now. But here's what we're going to do to make sure that I don't look dumb again. We don't get up in arms about it. We don't get angry. We say, you're right. This is how it is.
I like that. So then your users, your community, what are the two words in here that kind of stick out to you?
And you remind me what the community specifically refers to.
So it's your customers, and not just your customers, but like how the people who are interacting with your brand. So that might be people who view videos or white papers, hear you at a conference, but also your customers. So when you look at that, when you're thinking about who your customers or your community are, which of these terms sort of stick out the most to you?
Have to say honest with themselves.
Do you want to include any of the others, or are we done with that one?
I mean, teachable goes in there, right? If you're honest with yourself, you see your holes, and then you're teachable. So
yeah.
And I would guess that most of those honest with themselves and teachable, like that, are because they're honest with themselves and they see their holes, are also going to be leaders because they're the only ones really digging into the hard questions. So they're good communicators and they're focused on their team because they know where they don't have it, and so they find a good team. Like I think we could say quite easily jump to all of those, which are fairly close, right? Which are a result of being honest with yourself and not, They're probably driven too because they're willing to look at their own holes and fix them.
Yeah. All right. And then your brand, your voice that you speak with. What sticks out the most here to you?
Honestly, probably funny, in spite of all the other things, because life is business. It's fun, right? It should be fun. You should enjoy it. It shouldn't be just going to a job. You should enjoy, get up. That's my biggest problem with vacation is I enjoy what I do and I want to do it. And, hey, there's 10 minutes or half an hour of downtime. I should read a business book. I should write something. I should communicate with the client. And that is the hardest. That's hard to not do sometimes.
That's fine. All right, I like that. I think that's probably true. I think that at least from what I've seen you put out so far, but also how you are in group, I think that's right on. So then your value, how you make them feel when they're interacting with you.
I want their mind to be blown. And again, I think all the other things come up in that, right? That's how your mind blown is the big one, and the other things are how you get to that part, right? By going that extra mile, by sending them a funny card, by handwriting that card, by something like that. And they just look at it and say, I've never been treated like this before.
And then the benefit, what they actually get from you, what sticks out the most. I know which ones I think are most important there, but I'm curious to see which ones you pick too.
I think the control and process, that kind of comes down to everything because they have a process and they have that control then. They feel empowered to be able to take care of their own stuff without I always say bugging is the word that comes to mind, but not bugging, without having to come back to me, without feeling bound to talking to me for every little thing, right? They can run it on their own, and they have confidence that they can do that, and that the processes are in place that even if they mess up, we just recover the site. It's not really that big a deal.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was going to say, control too. So that's good. Good. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to come down to your brand statement, and this is kind of what it looks like. Your organization or company provides this product or service to these users with this culture and personality, that personality point of view, to help them gain that benefit and this value. So we're going to take all those phrases and we're just going to put them together. So we're going to say SFN Designs. It's design, right? It's not
Yes.
plural like mine is.
Oh,
Right.
it's
Design,
all one
provide.
word, lowercase d, Angie.
Oh my gosh. All right, there we go. Is that better?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So then are we going to say that now this is the actual service or product that you provide. So are we going to say you provide membership and e-commerce solutions? Or do you have another phrase that we want to say for that?
That's what I say.
Okay.
Membership and e-commerce solutions, yeah.
All right. You provide these to your users to teachable and honest. So to teachable and honest businesses with a personality, with a funny.
With a
See, now you're with
that
a
want to
humorous?
enjoy, right? That recognize businesses more than just numbers. I think businesses community.
Say it again.
It's just that recognize businesses more than just the numbers, right? That want to enjoy. That believe business should be enjoyable at the same time. I don't know. With a funny.
All right.
With a humorous and honest point of view.
Mm-hmm.
One of my client vetting questions is, did I laugh on a call? So that's why I always say humorous. Did I actually enjoy myself?
Right. To help them take control, gain control, and blow their minds. Is that right?
Yep. To help them gain control of their site and processes. And blow their mind.
All right, let me get rid of all this up here so I have a little room. Now again, I don't expect you to go and like throw this up on your website or anything like that. It's more a statement that we come back to over and over as we're looking at the rest of what we get into. So SFN Design provides membership and e-commerce solutions to teachable and honest businesses. Oh, I like that. That's really good. With a humorous and honest point of view to help them gain control of their sites and processes and blow their mind. That's very like superhero. That last part is very. Do you know what I mean? Like
superheroes are cool. I like superheroes.
I know. I don't mean it in a bad way. I like it. Blow their mind. Anyway. All right.
You need like a monster truck announcer for the last bit.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I started to have a video, and I may still. I wanted to wait until we had this done. Well, now I don't want to tell you. Never mind.
Okay.
It's a surprise. I don't want to tell you. All right. So now we're going to look at your users and your user profiles. Because there are 3 pieces to developing your brand. And it's one, literally your brand, which we just did, your users' needs, and then your goals. And so we're going to talk about who is your customer. And I think you're pretty clear on this already as far as why it matters. But like, for example, I say the messaging and methods that you would use to reach a user base of working moms in the suburbs will be different than if you were trying to reach hipster up-and-coming artists in the city or CIOs and Fortune 500 companies. So deciding who your users are will help you with your messaging and how you reach out to them. So the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to name one of your generic users so that we can begin to think of them as an actual person instead of just, oh, I work with CTOs of e-commerce companies. But we want to know we're working with someone's name and their age and what their story is, and even begin to look at what are their goals in life, not in life, but in business, and how can we make sure that when they're interacting with your brand, we're helping them accomplish those? Because if we help them accomplish those, then things begin to work. So let's give your first type of user a name, and I want you to tell me also, who are they? Your first type of customer. Who is the primary decision maker that you're working with?
Her name is Francesca.
Really? Francesca? That's funny.
Well,
What's her last name?
Francesca? I don't know.
Okay, we'll say Smith then.
Sure.
All right. And how old is she?
How old is she? She is probably mid-40s.
So 43?
Sure. That's mid-40s.
Okay.
That's good.
Yep. Okay. All right. So tell me about her. What's her story? Where does she we're going to get into demographics a little bit over here, but tell me her story. What's her deal?
Her story is that she runs an e-commerce website, and I guess more of a training.
What kind of e-commerce? What
I would say more of a training website than e-commerce website. And she provides courses for people, specifically for women, to have better marriages.
How'd you get started in that?
How did she get started in that? That's a good question. I don't actually know because I'm talking about a real client. I'm not sure. I would guess seeing some holes in her own marriage and then developing a course, like after looking at some other material and putting together a course that spoke to her better than the existing material, and made it available for others as well. Her concern is most definitely not the money. It is making sure they reach lots of people. Which is why other people in her business often talk money, because she doesn't care about it.
Mm-hmm. Is this her full-time gig?
Yes.
So we're going to get into this over here. Is she married?
Yes.
How long have they been married?
A long time. I don't know. I would guess like 20 years probably would be my guess.
Okay. Does her husband work too?
Yes.
In this business or in something else?
Different business.
Where do they live?
Ohio.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So they must live in Columbus, because no one lives in Ohio that doesn't live in Columbus.
Of course.
And how much do they make? How much does she make per year?
The business generates about $8,000 a month.
And what about her husband?
I don't know. Enough to mainly be the support.
Is he involved in this business at all, or no?
Outside of support, no.
Okay.
Between working for himself and having his own health issues, he doesn't have the time or energy.
All right. Do they have kids?
Well, I don't know.
Did she go to school for this at all? Like, does she have a business degree, or maybe does she have a degree at all?
I would say she does not have a business degree. I'm not sure about the rest of the business degree. Like the rest of a degree, I don't know. If she has a business degree, she forgot most of it. Or she decided she doesn't care about any of it.
All right. And what kind of car do they drive?
What kind of car do they drive?
You can't just say you don't know. You have to pick. You have to think about this person and tell me what kind of car do they drive.
I don't know. They probably drive something like a Honda Accord or something. You know, maybe a smaller SUV. It's decent, not extravagant necessarily, just decent. Runs well.
Right. And what are her goals? So this is in life and also related to the business, but what are her personal goals that she needs to address in her life? And in that way, then we begin addressing those through things that she needs to do when she interacts with your brand.
She wants to reach more people. She wants to help people. That's right. Her business is a result of the goals that she has, even on her personal side. She was helping people before she really developed this as a business and as a full course. This has just formalized it and allowed people to compensate her in a different way for it.
That's good. That's
More?
Yeah. She doesn't just have that one. She doesn't just have that one goal in life. Or she might.
I don't know. I think
But
that's
there's
it.
more
Like
to that.
the main goal, the main driver, and everything that results from it is reaching more people, right? Being able to help, because that's that 10 times reach, right? If she can help one person have a better marriage, that person has a better marriage, and I know from reading that like their husband probably does better at work then, because the marriage isn't a stress anymore, not something he has to worry about. The kids do better at school because mom and dad aren't fighting, right? So like that.
So she also wants to make more money.
She wants to make more money? I don't think she actually cares.
Okay.
Honestly, her volunteers want her to make more money and protect her from herself more often than anything else. She wants to have her basic needs met. That's about it. She doesn't like being a millionaire. She doesn't care.
Okay.
She'd be more likely to give away more and more than actually become that millionaire and just have her needs met.
All right. So then based on that, when she is interacting with your brand, what does she need from you? What does she have to get from you when she's interacting? Even before she purchases, obviously this does translate into after she purchases something from you, but what does she have to get from you when she's interacting with you?
She has to know that we're focused on her users too. That what we are most passionate about is helping her get that 10 times reach that she wants, because that's really what we want. By working with her, we can have our own 10 times reach, and we can have multiple because of all the clients we work with. But then we're focusing on her customers, helping her reach, helping her develop a better course, helping her utilize the technology tools which she doesn't understand to build better community and to help more women have better and stronger marriages.
I'm thinking. Does she need from you, even before she purchases, or as she's purchasing, does she need from you to know that you understand how to help her reach more people? So you've talked right now.
Yeah.
Talked so far
she needs to know that I'm an expert, that I can help her with it, and that she can come to me because I'm a trusted expert. She doesn't have to worry that I'm going to be giving bad advice. I'll be giving the best advice I can for her situation. And that way she can just trust me to take care of the things that she quite literally doesn't even understand.
All right. Who's your next user? After her, who's the next type of person that we're interacting with? Because most companies don't just have one primary. I mean, they have one primary user, but most companies have at least one secondary type of user or customer that they're interacting with.
So this is like a totally different client we're thinking of?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I happen to know that a lot. So you do have other agencies that refer work to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it may be that this customer is not the end customer. This is the agency that is referring to you.
Yep. Okay. So let's call this one Bob.
All right.
Bob Markham.
Oh, Bob. I don't know.
I was going to say Bob Robertson because that would be ironic, but you know.
Oh, there we go. I got it. I like it. How old is Bob Robertson?
Bob Robertson is 35.
Wrong. He's 37. No. All right. He's a male. All right. And what's his story?
He runs a agency of 4 or 5 people. They do a bunch of different things, but some of what they do tends to be hard e-commerce or membership implementations, and he gets me to do those for him because they are outside of the skill set of his team, and it is still more cost efficient to get me to do it, even though I'm more expensive, than it is for his team to do it and have trouble with it and do it again.
What's his team? Okay, all right, because I've tried it in the past and they didn't get it.
Not even that, but it's like they're going to have to learn a whole bunch of stuff even to do it, where I just know it, right? Mm-hmm. So it may take their team 4 weeks to do something, and I can do it in like 2.
How long has he been doing this?
Running businesses like this? Close to 10 years.
Yeah.
Close to 10 years.
Where do his customers come from?
His customers. He actually gets into the RFP market a bit. And
okay.
Gets some through pitching the local clients in the big old city.
All right. In the big old city. Where's he live?
Just outside of the big old city.
What big old city?
Vancouver.
And is he married?
Yes. Couple kids.
Got kids?
Couple kids, yes.
Oh, 3? 2? 2 is a couple. He has a little kid, like a 3-year-old, right?
Sure.
Maybe a 7-year-old.
Sounds perfect.
What do they make per year?
Oh, he probably brings home somewhere between 100 to 150.
Does his wife work?
No.
What car do they drive?
Pardon?
What kind of car do they drive?
Oh, again, probably something similar, something functional, probably possibly even a van because they're got kids, or some SUV that is reliable.
What are his goals?
His goals
that he's trying to accomplish, and again, this is not, it is related to business, but it's not just related to business. So what's he trying to accomplish in his life that you're going to help him get to?
He wants to be able to pay his employees, kind of live the life he wants to live, which involves being his own boss and helping provide for other people. So my services allow him to take on a couple projects that are outside of his specialty and know that they can be handled.
do the projects that you do for him, are they more than, do they net him more than his typical project? Are they more valuable to him than their typical project, or just different?
I think they should be, although he's just now recognizing that himself.
So then, I feel, so I'm going to, for right this minute, I'm going to let you go on this. I feel like this is really squishy. Like, those goals are really nondescript.
Yeah, but that's what he wants to do. I know that.
Well,
This is second.
it's true. I know, it's
second
true.
or
That's what
third
I'm saying.
business. His employees come back to them because they know. So he had one business. He had to shut it down. He helped his employees find new jobs at other places, paying similar rates by giving them good references. And then when he started up his business again a few years later, his employees came back. Right?
Yeah.
Because they liked him. So.
Has he corrected those systems? Has he corrected whatever it was that made him have to shut that business down?
Oh yeah, he's run this one twice as. I would say yes, he's run this one twice as long, and he is continually refining it to running it better.
All right. So what does he need from you? When he interacts with your brand, what does he need?
And really, he just asks.
What is it?
He asked me for technical backup. So, like, we're here. Am I asking the right technical questions? Do you have what I need? Like, what else do you need to be able to give me an estimate on this? Because even his internal staff often don't know the questions they need to answer. Or they don't know enough of them. They know a couple, but not all of the ones that I really need.
Oh, that's really good, Curtis. That's really good. That alone is that's just fantastic. That's great. Does he need what does he need you to do as you're interacting together to ensure that things go well? Because I'm thinking about this business that he had to shut down before, and maybe before he didn't have subcontractors that were working well with him. I don't know that, but I'm thinking of his story. So what does he have to get from you to ensure that the communication is good? Or maybe that's just it.
Yeah, maybe it's just it's good communication. We've worked together enough that, like, I just talk to the clients directly all the time now, even when it's so occasionally we work together as separate businesses. Sometimes it's as subcontracting, and I just talk to the client in any way and I just let him know. So it's just he needs to trust me, and he does trust me because we've worked together, and I do not commit to things on his behalf that cannot be done. I don't commit to anything on his behalf because it's not my job. So.
All right. All right. Well, so let's see. So we have space for one more. If you can think of another one that would be your, primary or secondary customer. I think for me, from hearing you talk, it seems like those are the two types of people that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
You're dealing with the business owner directly, or someone at an agency.
Yeah.
So, so the next thing that we're going to talk through, and you have to go in 10 minutes, is that right?
No, I've got about 20.
Okay, all right. So the next thing that we're going to talk through is your goals. We do this in 3 areas: your business goals, in increasing awareness, increasing revenue, and increasing efficiency. And what we're going to do when we do this is, it's a very loose exercise. You're not bound to actually executing any of these ideas, but we're going to pull up a sheet and just start throwing out ideas of how can you increase your awareness, efficiency, and revenue in each one of those areas. And then later we can go back through and we'll rank those based on what is the easiest to execute of these things, which of these things meets your users' needs best, and then begin to put that into a matrix of these are the things that we need to give top priority to going forward, because we know that they're going to help you do what you need to do, and they're going to help your users do what they need to do. And so let's look at that. The first one is increasing revenue. So we're just talking about concepts or ideas that can help you increase revenue, let's say in the coming year. And again, you might think of an idea and say, there's no way I can do that in the next year, but we're still going to put it on here. Because it may be something that once we get other pieces in place, that becomes more realistic to be able to accomplish that thing.
Okay. I'm more thinking of the first one that comes to mind would be documenting my processes would increase revenue because it would increase efficiency as well. So that's later, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. We're talking about like tangible. If I do this, revenue will go up, and again, efficiency relates very directly to that.
Right.
So if you pitch only on value.
Yeah. Pitch only on value.
Yes.
Okay,
like that thing alone. That thing alone will do it.
It will. I already don't do RFPs. I say no. So that's not the change to make, right? I only work with my ideal clients. I don't build hourly anymore. I haven't built hourly in a while. And if it's ever been a straight up like dollars for time thing, I just say no. You're outsourcing an employee. That's not me. Increase revenue.
So do you feel like if you spent this whole year only pitching on value, that would take you to 10x?
I think that there's the other processes in there. So the other process is though, like in awareness, right? I need to improve my marketing funnel, right? So improving my marketing funnel, I do a very good job at vetting already, but getting more clients in would be good. So I need to build a proper sales process for that, part of which I have, and part of which I need to keep building. So a proper kind of graduated step. Yeah.
So if you did that, if you just had more leads and you built a graduated sales funnel, that by itself would allow you to pitch enough value that you'd get to 10x.
No, actually, increased revenue.
But execute.
Yeah, increased revenue. I'd also put some clients on retainers or on conversion-based payment systems. So where I do A/B testing, and then get percentage of increase in their sales. Those are two other key, like, revenue-based items that I would like to do, that I need to do for 2015.
Is training or coaching related to e-commerce in this at all?
I look at that as part of the sales funnel,
I'm just
right?
asking.
But yeah, it could be as revenue as well. So like a short taste test course. So that would be looking at 3 or 4 e-commerce platforms and building a couple things with each one and how they relate and how they work together. So that would be like a product that they could buy. That'd be part of the sales funnel as well. That'd be part of awareness. And then again, going in awareness, I've got a few others, right? Converting a bunch of the e-commerce talks I've given and courses I've taught into like free courses for them to look at online to know what an effective e-commerce design does. Does social media really work for e-commerce stores? What are the numbers on that? Should you be using a slider? So I've got, out of my one talk that I give to students, I probably have 10-minute videos that I could package into a email course or something for them.
All right, let's talk about efficiency a little bit. What are some of the ideas that you have around increasing your efficiency in the next year?
I should document all my processes. I can actually tell you what they all are because I already started the list of the processes I need to document. Where is it? Processes are starting a theme, creating a new project. You can't write this fast, but right?
Not with this keyboard. I can't.
Creating a new estimate.
Go ahead.
Creating invoices. Adding items to my taxes for my admin assistant, setting up social media updates or blog posts, how we end a project, how we start a new staging site, how we onboard clients, how we vet clients in the sales process.
All right. What's in your graduated sales funnel that you know of so far?
My graduated sales funnel, so I'll be releasing a manifesto, which will be part of that actually. So in my initial client email, I'll be sending them a copy of the manifesto and a link to my process document, which is already on my site. Those are the two things I already have. Well, manifesto will be finished. It's written and going to editor this week. The next things I think I need are those courses that I talked about. And then I also have a for purchase plugin, which is a lower cost investment. And I have another for purchase plugin in kind of planning stages that would work on like increasing user conversions and giving them some of the tools to do that on their own. So that'd be another lower value, right? Not many thousands of dollars to get, but a couple $100 to get, and you'd already have some tools to increase your own user engagement and your own sales funnel.
What are some ideas that you have around actually getting more leads in the coming year? That increasing your awareness. A lot of these are
once I have people to me already and they know about me. Yep.
Yeah.
So
right. Yeah.
The courses though, those are new, right? Those will be free. There'll be a bunch of them that are totally free out there on YouTube, out there on my site. And when people come to my site, there'll be like a call to action to say, hey, like you can look at some free courses. I have some free videos I have on how to run an effective e-commerce store. And then blogging weekly about things that my clients care about, not what my peers want me to write, but what my clients, like what are the questions they're asking. Where to share those? That's a good question. So I've joined a few communities lately that are more business owners than developers, and started interacting on them. I probably could identify some more communities, but then you always run into how much time do I have to do all of this, and where will it be most spent effectively? And identifying where my ideal client interacts is probably what I should do. And so I've even looked at speaking, thinking about doing some speaking on e-commerce in the big old city of Vancouver. Or speaking on conversion, speaking on how to keep your members around, identifying the lifetime value of your members, stuff like that.
Fine. I like those. I like where you're heading with that, because even still, a lot of this is, like I said, a lot of that is just once it's created, you're going to put it out there, but the question then becomes, how do you get what you created to the people who need it? And so that's more of where you're getting into with these lower ones. So that's good. All right. Well, so what I'm going to do, because what I'm going to do from here is our next area, the next thing that we would get into is your competitive analysis, which we which we may have time to get into part of it today, and you may know some of that already, so we'll get into it in just a second. But what we're going to do afterward, I'm going to keep this myself, and I'll send you a copy of it too, and go through and rank how easy is it for me to accomplish this particular item, and how desirable is it? Because you may see that, you know what, there's some of these that are super easy to implement, but it's really not, it might not produce the most value for you. And even having said that, some of those that are easy to produce but maybe aren't the most desirable, the fact that they are so easy, in the same way that we do the debt snowball, in the same way that they are so easy to knock out, they may help you build up to some of the larger ones. So, and then there may be some that you see, this is really obtainable, and it's also really highly desirable, so we need to focus on that going forward. So, and then you may have it the other way around too. There may be some that are really desirable, but they're actually a lot harder to implement, and so we need to be specific in what are the timelines that we're going to implement those, and if any of the other ones need to be done first as you're working on those. So that's what we're going to do with that. But again, we'll both work on that separately, and then we'll mash our answers together. The next item that we're going to look at is just your competitive audit, and let me explain these 4 different areas of the competitive audit. So you have direct competition, competitors that do exactly what you do, same technology, same customer base, same value proposition, basically. They're direct competitors. Then you have category competitors. They offer something similar, but and they share your same category base, but they do it a little bit differently. Then you have substitutes, which your customers can get a similar result, but it's not related to what you're doing. And then you have indirect competitors, things that compete for your customers' attention and time, but they're not related to the value proposition that you offer. So we're going to look first at your direct competitors. Who are and this is where you just have to get honest with yourself and say, who are the companies that are offering the same sort of services that I'm offering? Who are the agencies that are offering the same sort of services that you're offering?
Zayo.
Membership in e-commerce. Right, exactly. Yep. Who else?
Bright Web, or sorry, the Bright agency, Travis Northcutt.
Is it Bright Interactive or Bright Agency? Well, we'll probably know.
Something like that.
All right. Who else?
Daniel Espinoza. Basically all the friends I interact with all the time and send work to.
Well, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Tanner does as well in the community aspect, like in the community and membership aspect for sure. I suppose Forge and Smith does on parts of it.
Why do you say suppose?
They don't do some of the technical e-commerce stuff, but they do some of the strategy and yeah. They don't say some of the technical stuff. They don't do.
They do e-commerce, but they don't do.
They don't do hard stuff. They don't do really hard stuff.
Okay.
But as I push more into strategy, they're more of a competitor, right?
Okay. That makes sense. Is there anyone else in there that you think these are the people that other people are going to when they need e-commerce solutions? I mean, the truth is all of the little WordPress companies, I suppose, could say, yes, I do e-commerce. But who are the ones when you look at them and you say, this is my actual competition? Like, people are either going to me or they're going to them.
I think, like, the top 3 are really it. Like,
okay.
That I'm aware of. I'm sure there's some that I'm not really aware of overall, but those top 3 are the ones that are the big ones anyways.
So now Justin, when he does e-commerce work, does he primarily only work with WP e-commerce, or will he work on any e-commerce
He'll work
solution?
on pretty much any of them.
Okay, and the same thing with Daniel does primarily Woo, or
Daniel
does
is
he
much
do
more
other
focused
things as
on
well?
Woo and easy digital downloads. Yes.
Okay. And then what about Travis?
Travis focuses more towards membership than e-commerce specifically.
So then you have indirect competitors too. I'm sorry, I think we call these category. So excuse me, they're competitors that have a similar offering, but they execute it differently. So I know for me, I can think right away, a service like Shopify, it's not exactly what you do, but it's a competitor.
Squarespace.
Customers could very well be thinking, yeah, Squarespace.
Big commerce.
Yeah.
Evermore.
Are there other agencies that deal in e-commerce that you feel like they are competitors? Whether they execute with WordPress or not.
And there's probably a whole bunch of Rails agencies that use Spree that probably would be direct competitors, but I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Okay.
Spree would be the tool they use. You can tell I really worry about my competitors a lot, right?
Well, yes. Yes. But there may be opportunity in there for you to speak to why should you use your own solution instead of something from Squarespace or Shopify or that sort of thing, or even looking at how they're marketing and how they're presenting their solutions. Like what is it? It's Squarespace, isn't it? That's the one that advertises on TV. Is that right?
I don't have TV.
I think it is. Oh, right, yeah. So I think it's Squarespace.
Sure. If you say so.
Squarespace advertises on TV, and I look at them versus WordPress.com or really, any company that could put together a commercial for WordPress, and looking at how they market basically the same end benefit is very interesting to me, because most WordPress companies don't market it all the same way that Squarespace is doing it. I think they could learn something from them if they would just stop and take a look.
You probably could have ended
then you have substitutes.
Most WordPress companies don't market at all. They're just finished.
Well, that too. Yeah. Things your customers can do to obtain a similar value proposition by using a service not related to you or your competitors. So I know what comes to mind when I think of this. What can customers use to accomplish e-commerce and community, e-commerce and membership, outside of using one of those solutions above or having something custom built for them.
Yeah, and you could use Facebook to do some community stuff, right? Or Google Plus.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm sure there's other platforms. Wasn't Ning around for a while? I'm not sure if they're still around.
Yeah, I think for some people are still using it. I'm not sure it's active, but.
Maybe for e-commerce, they can just stick a PayPal button on their site, and that works fine for some stuff.
Yep. What are some of the other options people have for e-commerce that are not owning it themselves, basically?
Not own it. Well, I mean, all the ones we just said, like Squarespace, you don't own, right?
Yeah.
Or you own Shopify or BigCommerce.
Mm-hmm.
Evermore is WordPress, so you kind of own that, and that will do a nice export for you.
And then what are the indirect competitors? These are just things that compete for your customers' attention and time that are not related really to the value proposition that you offer at all.
Their children?
But if someone is their children, yeah, their children. Yeah. Let's think about related to your users' goals.
Mm-hmm.
So if we come back and we look at the first person, the Francesca, she wants to reach more people She wants to 10x her reach. She doesn't care much about making money. What could she be doing or looking at that's competing for your business, but she thinks it's going to help her get there?
And she could be looking at like a marketing firm even, right? Like to just market her business more.
Yeah. I think Facebook can be put in that same category, because she may very well.
Not for her anyways, but it could be if you're running a business network, right?
And also in some ways LinkedIn, even though it's no, that's not a good one. No, Pinterest is better. Yeah. All right. So, excuse me. We're going to stop right here because the next one has sort of some homework to do. It's looking at those competitors and figuring out what are they doing that you really love that seems to be working for them, or that you just like, that you know is smart and you like how they're doing that, and what do you not love about how they're marketing themselves, how they're sharing the same opportunity that you have. So we begin to look at where's the room for you to either replicate what they're doing that's working really well or that's good, or to step into the things that they're doing bad and do it better. And again, you have each one of those different types of competitors to look at. It's not just the agencies that are, similar to yours, though I think that's the best place to start, is to, it's the most aggressive place to start.
I do everything better than Justin.
The most aggressive place to start is to say,
I say that for
here's
people
how
watching
I do this better than
Justin and I and
these
Angie
other
are
companies.
good friends.
Not that you would want to come out right out and say, here's how we do this better than thou, but how do you say that? I never say it right. There you go. All right. I'm writing that down. Yes, that's right. Very good. All right. Well, that's all that we have for this. I'll package all this up and send it over to you. And the homework will be for you to rank those awareness, revenue, and efficiency, both in terms of desirability and attainability, and then to look at your competitors and see what do you like and not like about what they're doing, so that you can begin to use that also going forward.
So. I guess we went through all the pages, didn't we? Except for the homework page.
Yeah. All right. Excuse me. That's all I have. Do you have any questions about any of this?
You are most welcome. I will. One more podcast to record, then I'm done for the day. And the week, actually, until Friday.
Yeah. All right. Well,